everybody, it's Vanessa, and today we're going on another magical, mystical journey. We're going over to Mary's house, and we're gonna learn how to make weed gummies, cannabis gummies. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, hey. All right, we are inside the magical, mystical house now. So, hey everybody, this is Mary.
Hey.
And like I said, Mary's gonna teach us how to make gummies. Not just any kind of gummies, not the ones that you get at the candy store. Maybe the special candy store.
Special candy store, indeed.
Yeah, but weed gummies. Or medicinal weed
Cannabis gummies.
Cannabis gummies. There you go. Cannabis gummies.
So we're taking 2 cups of water, regular water, and we're putting it in a small saucepan, okay? And into that, we're going to add 1/4 cup of cannabis-infused coconut oil.
So, how did you make that?
Okay, so I take a cup of coconut oil, like you buy in the store, and it's kind of a long process. I take an ounce of weed, so it's an ounce of cannabis to a cup of coconut oil. I take the ounce and I buzz it up in the food processor to break down the buds, to get it all kind of even.
So this is, you use good weed. You don't use shapes. You use the real
bud,
stuff.
Whatever.
Got
Yeah,
it. Okay.
Stuff I grew, stuff I bought.
Got it.
And I decarboxylate it. Okay.
Ooh, what does that mean?
That's why I said it's complicated.
Okay.
Decarboxylation is the process where you open up the resins and the terpenes and get everything warm and juicy. I'm not a chemist, so I can't really explain it, but it's something like turning THCA into THC or THC into THCA. It converts the cannabinoids into a more usable form by heat. So I cook it in the oven at 220 for 30 minutes. Then I put it right into the coconut oil, and you'd be surprised, the coconut oil will soak that whole ounce right up really fast. So then I use the heating and cooling process. I heat it up slowly. I don't bring it to boiling. Then I turn it off.
And the purpose of that then is to release this chemical reaction, whatever you just talked about, from C to A to B. Got it. Okay.
And so I do that 6 times.
Oh, okay.
And it might take overnight, and then I let it steep. Okay.
Got it.
Then I take a potato ricer, one of those things that you make potatoes, you rice potatoes out of. They're like a giant garlic press.
Oh, yeah.
With holes on the sides.
Oh, yeah.
So I put the weed in that, and I squeeze as much out of it as I can, because I'm really cheap and tight. So I'm going to get every bit out of it. Okay. So then I use cheesecloth with that, by the way, so I don't have to strain it afterwards. So I put the cheesecloth in the potatoes ricer. I put the cannabis in there. I might take a couple of loads, squeeze it right back into the pot. Then I measure out 1/4 cup or 1/2 cup measurements. So I should get 4. You lose a little bit of cannabis and oil when you're doing. Yeah. And that little black dot there is something called Rick Simpson oil.
Oh!
Okay.
Willie, who we were at the other day, was talking about that.
Rick Simpson oil.
Ah.
That process is involved as well. I take 750 or 1,500 milliliters of, you prefer Everclear, but I'm using vodka. So I soak it for 3 days. I take a pound of marijuana and I put it into 750 milliliters of alcohol, using the same decarboxylation process.
The heating, the cooling, the heating,
just the heating.
Oh.
The decarboxylation process is only for 20 minutes.
Okay.
In the oven. The coconut oil infusion is the heating and cooling.
Oh, got it. Okay.
So you only heat the weed for 20 minutes. Then you put it right into the alcohol. You steep it for 3 days in a dark place. Then I kind of smush it. Now at this point,
I told you this was magical, mystical stuff. I told you.
At this point, the herb itself becomes crispy, like you deep fried it.
Ah.
So that means everything's out of it. So you discard that. You don't want to do anything with it. You really can't. So then I strain it through a coffee filter. And then I've got a little bit less than 750 milligrams or 1,500 milligrams of alcohol. Infused with the cannabis.
Got it.
So I take my shallow crock pot and I pour it in there and I put it outside so that nothing bursts into flames. And I just I cook it down and cook it down and cook it down until all that's left is this black goop. Okay, it's really dark green. It's like used crankcase oil. Okay?
Yeah.
And
like
it's
olive
very
oil.
powerful. And so I use approximately a milliliter of this Rick Simpson oil in with the coconut oil for the gummy bears.
So tell us again, Mary, because
Okay.
I lost it.
Yeah.
How much is that in terms of that?
This is a quarter of a cup.
Quarter of a cup. Got it. Okay.
And this is a half a cup of water.
Got it.
So what we're gonna do, I would lick this, but I'd get really high on this.
Just
so,
that?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, you know, I have a tolerance, but that's not that big. I mean, it's very,
Wow.
very powerful. And
Wow.
you can look up Rick Simpson oil on the internet. Now, a lot of people use butane or naphthalene to make their Rick Simpson oil. I don't do that. I use straight alcohol.
Got it. Okay.
So what we're going to do now is we're going to heat this water up. We're back to the gummy bear process here. So what I want to do
closer look over there, Justin. Yeah. There you go.
just heating it up.
Go.
I'm going to take this coconut oil because I want to get it in there too. Now, just as a side note, 1 milliliter of anything, water, Rick Simpson oil, or whatever, is about a quarter of a teaspoon. Actually, 2 milliliters is a quarter of a teaspoon.
Okay.
So I measured it earlier. So I wanted to have my numbers right. So this is just going to heat up. We want to get it nice and, melted. And it's going pretty quick. So this whole process happens really quickly after all of this.
Oh, good.
So I'm going to take my 4 ounces of Knox gelatin, unflavored. There it is. It's really hard to find these days.
Yeah.
Everybody is making gummy bears.
Oh,
these days.
this is the new
Everybody.
the new quarantine pandemic. It's like this is the new sourdough bread.
Yes, I had to mail order.
For the gelatin?
Yeah.
Wow.
I bought a big ass amount of gelatin because I have like 5 people now who actually, use my gummies. One woman has fibromyalgia and she hasn't taken an opioid since she started taking my gummies.
Wow.
About 3-4 months ago.
So it's certainly, definitely, I mean, we all know the components of eating a gummy or smoking a joint,
Right.
you're going to get high. But in terms of the medicinal effects, I hear so much positive about it. And
Yes,
this is just one story
absolutely.
too. This
Absolutely.
is somebody I don't know, gratefully, what fibromyalgia pain is, but I understand it's pretty bad.
And another of my friends is using it for neuropathy and rheumatoid arthritis. So it's 1 to 2 gummies a day is fine.
And
now,
it keeps the pain in control?
it makes you be able to move. I use probably 2 gummy bears a day, 1 in the morning, 1 in the afternoon, because I have 3 joint replacements. And I have serious osteo in every joint, including my neck and my ankles. So it's difficult for me to move. And I do a lot of physical labor. I'm a gardener.
Right.
I've always been a gardener. And so I need to keep moving because if I don't, I'll fossilize. And I'm not interested in fossilizing until at least 90 or so. So what I do is I mix the gelatin with the Jell-O. Okay.
Oh.
This is cherry flavored, and this is just because this process.
That's just
goes,
1 box, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's 0.06 ounces. You want to get that
Cool.
because it's important. If you get the bigger box, it's going to throw your ratios off, and it's going to be really messy. I've tried with the 17 ounce box, and it was a big mess. So I'm ready to go with my gelatin.
Cool.
I'm gonna have to clear the decks here.
Clear the black one off?
No, I'm just doing this. I gotta get my little, so you use an eyedropper like this.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
And I squeeze it up out of the pan there. So what I have here are two molds. There's lions, tigers, and bears, oh my, and worms,
Love
and
it.
monkeys. And then I've got another like 1 milliliter. So these are 1.5 milliliters, and these are 1 milliliter. You can kind of see the size difference. And I would use the leftover stuff probably in this.
Just so the little ones.
And often I just put it in a little ramekin like this, and then freeze it, and then dice it up and use it myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
For cooking or just pop?
For
eating?
myself. Like
Okay, got
instead of a gummy bear,
got
it would
it.
just be a little square.
Got
So I'm going to add a little bit of this Rick Simpson oil. Come in. I keep it in the freezer. That's about almost a half teaspoon.
Okay, so you don't add that whole.
No, that
okay.
holds about 3 milligrams.
Got it.
Okay, so I've got that going. All right, now I'm going to boogie here because it's going to happen very quickly with my whisk. I'm going to turn the heat up. Notice I could kind of keep it on low until I'm ready to go.
Clearly, gas stove. Is
Gas
the best thing
stove.
to use.
I love gas. Yeah. So it's up to just below medium now, but the stove runs a little hot. So this is kind of where you should probably get a good close-up in here. The oil and the water are never really going to mix until you get it hot. But what you need to do is just slowly put it in there and whisk. Okay, whisk, 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 whisk. And don't stop whisking. So you see what color it is now. It's brown with some kind of reddish parts in there. This is where the heat's really important. And you keep mixing and you mixing, and you'll see that it changes color. Okay, you'll see that the brown mixes in with the rest of it. The brown is that Rick Simpson oil. And we just keep cooking and cooking and cooking. I'm going to turn it up just a little bit. So now it's starting to boil, okay? And you can see that it's just cruising right along. It's changed color. It's gotten a little lighter. And then it starts to get thick. So it's really starting to set now.
That's the jello?
Yeah.
Gelatin and jello, okay.
So that Rick Simpson oil's taken a little bit of time to get incorporated, and it's all a matter of you want to heat it long enough so that the sugars dissolve. You can feel the granulation of the sugars with your whisk in the pot. Now you see the brown's pretty much gone. It's kind of almost turning a little more clear, okay? So I can feel that I don't have any granulated sugar in there. And now we're going to boogie. So I take this pot and I almost used my mouth.
Hey, Mary's kitchen, Mary's rules. Mary does whatever she wants.
So I suck it up like this, okay, and I start
filling them
like this. Now you have a certain amount of time because it's pretty hot, okay, but I left the burner on low because at about 3/4 of the way through this, because the surface area is more, it starts to cool off, and then it gets a little tough to get into the molds because it just seizes up.
Yeah. Wow, it smells really good.
Yeah, it's cherry flavor.
Yeah.
So these little worms are segmented, and I've segmented them into, when I package these, I segment them into 4. Or if somebody wants me to leave them the way they are, I'll do that too. And sometimes you overfill them. Sometimes you splooch a little bit here and there. But I will tell you that this cherry, this particular color will just get everything red. So you really have to be pretty good about cleaning up your tools right away. It also sticks to the inside of this little dropper. And so I go straight to the sink after I'm done with all of this.
So let me ask you.
Yes.
Taking one of these for a novice, okay, somebody who doesn't have a lot of tolerance, what kind of high is this? So I've always heard you have a head high and then you have a body high.
This is more of a body high.
Okay.
Because and it kind of goes back to growing your own weed, and this is where the botanist in me comes out.
And this is what we're talking about when we're talking about plants.
Okay.
The connections here.
When you grow marijuana, depending on the seed strain that you have, okay, whether it be indica or sativa, this is the same thing is true. There are these little things called trichomes.
Okay.
Okay, trichomes, and those are they're little pop-up resin indicators. Okay, and when the bud starts to get mature, these little trichomes will pop up and they'll be clear, and they stay on the top of the leaf, and they're an indicator of what the resins are doing at any particular time of the day or the cycle of the plant, including the moon and all of that stuff. So the trichomes, for an upper high, you're going to want to harvest when the trichomes are milky.
What do you mean upper high?
Okay, a sativa high, a more of a light. Keep yourself busy, keep your mind entertained.
Got it. Not the couch potato.
No.
Got it.
Okay, if you let your trichomes, they go from clear to milky to amber.
Okay.
Amber is when all the resins are up and okay, so I'm not, a certified botanist. So what I'm telling you is just from years of gardening and growing things.
Right.
When you harvest them when they're amber, when you wait until they're amber, you've got a deeper, more oily, more indica, more, I wouldn't say indica, more of a pensive or meditative or deeper internal, more of a head high.
Okay.
And that's true with sativa or with indica as you're growing it. Now, I just grew from seed this year. Get this. I grew 8 seeds. I planted 8 seeds. 1 was a male. I ended up with 7. The rest of them were female.
And that's what you want, right?
Yeah. You don't want the males.
Got it.
But having that many females from seed from people that we know and it was just unheard of. I ended up with an incredible amount of weed this year for my little 15 by 13 garden patch.
Wow.
I mean, it was just insane.
Wow.
So that goes back to the high. If you use indica, if you use any weed, whether it be indica or sativa, that's for or a hybrid, you're going to want to harvest when the trichomes are milky. If you want an upper stimulating high, and you have to wait until they're a little bit more amber, or anywhere in between.
Right.
So, and that's just my philosophy on growing. There are people out there who are going to see these videos and have a lot more experience than I do.
Of course. And we're not here to...
No, yeah.
We're just here to share information
but
and have a good time.
I'm kind of accuracy nerd, so I just want to be sure.
I love it, and I love that.
You
yes.
all that stuff.
So, okay, so what is this one?
Okay, so this is just a combination of stuff.
Okay.
For me, it seems to be that I can keep moving for hours if I take a gummy bear with this stuff. Other people who've reported to me about their feedback have been people who have a lot of neurological pain, and this seems to help them overcome that for a period of time.
Excellent.
And I would say 4 to 6 hours. If you're a novice, now these are milligram and a half, I think, molds. If you're just starting out, I'd use the 1 milliliter, the little ones.
Got it.
And that way, at least if you're going to cut that in half, you're taking a 0.5 milligram. So I can't really tell you what the cannabis count is on this because I frankly don't know.
Right.
I trust my grower. Right now I grow myself, but this is stuff from somebody that I trust who grows organically. And he usually plants hybrids or whatever he can get. And so most of the stuff that's available now is a hybrid of sativa and indica. And just as a refresher, sativa is the upper high, the more busybody high, and the indica is the lower, the deeper, more meditative. So now all of our little gummies, I'm topping them off. I did a pretty good job. I didn't get too messy. Some would just dump this on there and then take a knife and scrooge it across, but I'm not.
I thought about that.
Well, if you want, if you're using, copious amounts,
right?
If you're doing this, so here.
Do you want these in the little ones or no? Okay.
I prefer to do it this way. So this stuff, see, there's quite a bit left over. And then I'm just gonna put these in the freezer for like 20 minutes.
Oh.
And then I'll show you how I package them. You gotta keep them kind of level. So that'll work. Okay. I had to show my freezer's 5 pounds of meat in there. All right, so now I do the dishes because it's just
That red dye.
yeah. Look at, see how red it turns?
Oh yeah.
It just turns really red.
Yeah.
And so I soak everything, and you know, kind of put everything away. The freezer will take like 20 minutes.
Okay.
And then we're off. Now see, I don't care for the cherry flavor, so I don't lick my fingers or anything like that. If you choose to like clean the stuff, be prepared, okay? Because you can get carried away, and the next thing you know, you're on the moon. And sometimes that's not a really good feeling if you're not ready for it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. That is definitely. That's why I ask about the sativa and indica and all that
Right.
stuff too, because years ago,
Right.
I smoked here and there, but it started to tweak me out a bit in terms of I would start to have really weird thoughts about what a horrible person I was, and I thought, wow,
That's not
this
good.
isn't fun. I don't want to do this.
No.
But I have tried the gummies, and I just, you know what? I still have a concern about feeling it brings on just huge anxiety, so I don't do it.
Here's the deal.
Yeah,
I gotta sit down.
yeah.
Here's the deal. Even if you're taking acid, mushrooms, peyote, okay, mescaline, and I've been there, done that, and I have the T-shirt, okay. Your head has to be in the right space.
Yes.
If you're gonna have a fucked up trip. Pardon me. You're gonna have a bummer, as they used to call it. It's not gonna be. It's a bad trip. Your head has to be, excuse me, in the right space.
I guess I kind of, your head has to be in the right space for pretty much everything.
You know.
Yeah,
But if you're going to take something, if you're going to augment your reality,
Yes.
you need to be there.
Yes.
And I've taken this stuff and expected it to do things, and it just doesn't because my head wasn't in the right space.
Right.
But that's kind of my philosophy about everything. You got to be in the right headspace or else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. The way let me show you how I package these. Let me find my. You guys can chat for a second while I go find my little. See, it even turns the sponge red.
Justin's telling me, talk, Vanessa, talk.
I'll be right back.
What do you guys think? It's pretty amazing, isn't it? So, like she said, now she's gonna, package them up. But I was actually really surprised how quick the process went. So, very interesting. And I'd love to see the background, too, of the coconut butter. And lo and behold, the Rick Simpson oil. Wow. Willie was just talking about that the other day when we were doing the trimming video. So, kind of fun. Interesting how it all rolls together.
Okay, let me show you some I already have made. This is my personal stash. And what I do when I give them to people now, when I sell them to people, I label their little bags. Like that says me. So I know these are mine.
Oh, let me
so I just have them save the little bags, and then I repackage them for them.
Oh, these are monkeys.
Yeah. What I used to do was, my husband was the production team.
That's awesome.
And Ray was the production team, and he would cut up, 3 by 3 inch squares of tin foil, and then I'd spend an hour wrapping all these little things up, and it's a big pain in the neck. So I figured out, let's recycle, don't throw them away.
Yeah.
And so that's what I use now. And so this batch that I did, if I cut the wormies up into 4, makes 112 gummies.
Okay. The two
together.
rubber molds.
Yes.
Got it.
There are 40 gummies and little bears and lions and tigers and bunnies and stuff. And then there's the wormies. So there's a total of, in this batch, 8 wormies and 80 gummies.
Got it.
So I cut the warmies up into 4, that's 32. So 80 plus 32 is 112.
Got it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's pretty much the process.
That's awesome.
And then I package them up, and you have to keep them frozen. Okay, it's really important because they'll mold. They're just gelatin and sugar. And
so you can't just get. I was wondering why are they frozen?
yes, they're frozen because they will mold and rot if you don't, and they'll last like this for years.
Wow.
Okay, years. Now, an abbreviated version of this would be if you wanted to go to your dispensary and buy some CBD oil. And do the same thing, just add it to the coconut oil when you're heating it up like I did. And you can make your own CBD gummy bears the same way. And you can use any dosage you want to make them adequate for you.
And let's keep in mind too, so just, for probably more from my knowledge base, CBDs then they don't get you high. But they're the ones that help, and I've done CBD oils for anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, anxiety and a whole plethora of other things that people use it for as well.
It's typically it's made from hemp. From what I've read, hemp is a more ready source of CBD because with cannabis, sativa, you have to separate the CBDs from the THCs and all that other stuff. And just from what I understand from reading on the internet, it's easier to get it from hemp because it's more available and you don't have to separate it from the other cannabinoids and stuff.
Got it.
So,
okay.
That way, and hemp is such a vital, my God, our founding fathers grew hemp and smoked cannabis and did all kinds of things that were basically herbal remedies for their illnesses, for the bad teeth and for digestive problems. There are many herbs that Thomas Jefferson was just a brilliant man. He was the gardener's gardener.
Really?
And he would go all over the world or have his people while they're traveling bring him things from France and stuff. And I would love to someday just go to his home. I think it's Monticello.
Yes.
And see his garden.
Oh, so the gardens are still up and running?
Yes, they are.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they have the cutest gardener too. right up my alley. But I'm married. But that's, he really was a pioneer in, bringing things to America to grow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah, he was amazing. Yeah, he had like dumb waiters and elevators and stuff in his house, and he was just such an interesting man. If you could ever sit down with 5 people that you'd really want to talk to, Thomas Jefferson would definitely on my list for sure.
Wow.
Eleanor Roosevelt.
Gardeners.
Well, yeah.
Or pioneers.
Yeah.
Pioneers for sure in that
Gertrude
area.
Stein. I'd love to have a chat with her. If she could hold a conversation. So that's my story.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary.
Gosh, thank you for asking me. I was like, this is going to be fun. And it's so useful and it's so easy.
Yes, and repeat that again. So listen, you guys can do the same process, but instead of that little container with the coconut oil, I said butter before and it's not butter, coconut oil, and the Rick Simpson oil, you can go to your dispensary, get some CBD oil, use the same process of the gelatin and what have you, add the CBD oil instead of the other, the others that I just mentioned. And then you have CBD gummies.
Yeah. Now, you don't have to add Rick Simpson oil. I do this because I'm dealing with some people who, one of my clients takes 5 of these a day. Wow. Because they've got some serious, post car accident type of things. Right. That's weight. I wouldn't be able to function on 5 a day. Wow. But that helps them. So the Rick Simpson oil is just kind of an augmentation for that. You can just make them with straight coconut oil and water and gelatin like I just did. Right. So let me reiterate the ingredients again. You're going to need 4 single envelopes of Knox unflavored gelatin or the gelatin of your choice. You're going to need 0.6 ounce Jello of your choice or flavor. Don't use pudding; it won't work. Okay. Oh, lemon!
That's after the gummies.
And then you use half a cup of water and 1/4 cup of infused coconut oil. The coconut oil I use is, so 1/4 cup would be approximately 1/4 ounce infused into that. Like I said, you decarboxylate it after buzzing it up in the food processor, and you heat it at 200 degrees for about 20 minutes. And then you infuse it in the coconut oil.
Cool.
It's
Awesome.
just really simple. And I got it off the internet. This isn't anything magical.
Yeah, but it's so good to actually see it done.
Yeah,
The process
it's
done.
tangible. You
Yeah.
can see some little
Yeah.
lady making gummy bears, you know?
Innocent. I love it.
Innocent little
Yeah.
old lady. Yeah, Sonny, you better look out.
Thank you so much, Mary.
It's been a pleasure, Vanessa.
Thanks.
It's great to see you again. And
Too.
Justin, God, it's been a long time since we've seen you, and it's been fun.
So I think we'll come back and do some other stuff with you as well.
Okay.
You know, having to do with sacred space in your garden.
Yes, sacred space in the
Yes,
garden. Now
yes.
I'm going to give you a couple of these to go.
Okay, here we
Okay.
go.
No, just a half of one at a time, honey.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
You'll be all right. It's like a glass of wine or a glass and a half. You know,
Okay.
it's kind of nice. Try it before you try to go to sleep. My brother-in-law, who's recently passed of congestive heart failure, actually was one of my last clients, and he used them for sleeping because he was just so miserable. He's an AFib all the time, and it helped him. So even though he's passed on and his journey has begun in a different realm, they helped him for a while, and I'm really happy
That's
about
awesome.
that.
Yeah.
It makes me feel really good.
Awesome. Well, thank you. That's
Hey.
like a departing gift.
Yeah, awesome.
All right.
Right.
Thanks, Mary.
You're welcome.